Just seconds ago, the House of Representatives did pass the continuing resolution sent over from the Senate. It's identical to reopen the government. That will now go to the White House, where Donald Trump is expected to sign this evening, which will get the wheels in motion to open the government back up. In terms of the timing of what that will mean, both for everything from federal workers to SNAP to air traffic controller staffing, all that remains up in the air. We have with us Ali Vitale, who's MSNBC's senior congressional correspondent, the host of Way Too Early. She's been working the Hill all day. Ali, what's the latest from the Hill there?
So the latest, of course, as you just said, Chris, is that this has now passed and we are on our way to reopening the government after a very long 43 days. The vote passed 222 to 209, and there's some interesting details in who voted yes and no. Among the Democrats, 6 Democrats crossed party lines. That's 5 more Democrats than the last time we saw this iteration of a bill come before the House. Jared Golden of Maine, of course, kept his vote the same. But in addition to him, you had Tom Suozzi of New York, Don Davis of North Carolina. His is a seat in North Carolina that could be up for some redistricting. That's been a topic of discussion over the course of the last few weeks. You had Marie Gluesenkamp Perez, Henry Cuellar down in Texas, regularly a frontline seat. Adam Gray, who won his election to Congress by 187 votes. He remains in a frontline district. And then, of course, as I said, Jared Golden keeping his vote the same. Of the 2 no votes for Republicans, Thomas Massie, who we expected, but then Greg Steube of Florida. And this has to do with something that the Senate pretty controversially added to this bill and was just realized, according to the speaker, something that surprised and stunned him. The idea that any lawmaker who had their phone records seized could then go back and potentially sue the Justice Department. Greg Steube took issue with that. It's why he said to our team that he was voting no. He said, I'm not voting to give Lindsey Graham $500,000. Now, for the speaker's part, when I last talked to him before the vote, Chris, he said that he had talked to Leader Thune, that he was surprised and stunned. He didn't like this provision. He wanted to do a standalone bill to pull it out. Here's the thing. This is on a glide path to the president's desk. He's expected to sign it in just a few hours, which means that that bill and that provision will pass. So now it's an open question of, okay, if the House does a standalone bill, will the Senate take it up? And you look at the members who would be impacted by that singular provision, people like Lindsey Graham and others, they have been vocal about wanting to have some kind of recourse for having their records seized as part of the January 6th probe. Again, not wiretapped, just simply seized to see what calls were ingoing and outcoming. Or outcoming and ingoing. It's late. But at the same time, it would be, I think, a big question to see if the Senate would take that up. And that's one of the lingering things to see if that provision ends up standing. So a lingering question and a lingering thread as the House continues to put this on a glide path and send it now to the president's desk.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding is that it just applies to senators, not members of the House. And it's like a $500,000 possible payday for 8 senators who we know who they are, who put this in the bill, which is a pretty wild thing to do.
Yes, and the fact that they were then able to make it retroactive to 2022 so that it would encompass the years that Jack Smith was doing his probe. And again, I think it's really important that we point out here, if you were the person, as Jack Smith was, who was investigating what happened on January 6th, no presuppositions, just what was going on between who was talking to who. We know that the president made multiple phone calls to sitting senators, Tommy Tuberville among them, Mike Lee, others. And so that's why he was looking at those phone records. It wasn't a wiretap, as some of these members have wrongly said, but this is now the moment where they have tried to make this a new political football, reviving it as they continue to try to muddy the waters around January 6th, but then also now giving them some legal recourse and some teeth behind saying that they want something in exchange for having this done to them.
And some financial recourse, which I think is what is chafing a lot of people. All right, Ali Vitale, thank you very much for your time. I know